Today, we're gonna compare the different fire resistance or combustibility of different siding materials that you can install in your home. So if you live anywhere near, our Colorado Front Range foothills, this includes Boulder, Golden, Estes Park, Lyons, anywhere along the foothills in that Wildland-Urban Interface or WUI zone, the siding material on your home can matter when it comes to overall fire resistance of your property. So what do we mean with non-combustible siding? Non-combustible technically means it does not ignite, does not sustain a flame, and does not contribute fuel to the overall fire. So combustible means it burns even if the material is treated. So in a wildfire event, ember intrusion lands on your siding before the fire front can technically arrive. Your siding is one of the largest surface areas on your home, and it definitely matters what it's made of. We're gonna be doing a little test using our handy plumbing torch. We're gonna compare vinyl siding versus LP Smartside. So this is an engineered wood versus fiber cement James Hardie siding. Which one's gonna hold up the best for fire resistance? So vinyl is basically a plastic siding. I don't expect it to hold up very well. I've seen when people just put their grill up next to the siding and it melts, warps, or even catches on fire. So I don't have high hope for it. It is on the lower price point for siding replacement materials. And again, I don't think it's gonna do that well, but we're gonna put it to the test. Next up, we have LP engineered wood. So this is LP Smartside. It's gonna be in the engineered wood category. What we mean by that is it's not solid wood, it's oriented strand board, so OSB material, so that's wafers of wood and glued, and then it's faced a little bit with this texture to make it look like a piece of cedar siding. It's probably gonna perform better than the vinyl, and it's gonna definitely resist an open flame for longer, but we do know that it is made of wood and it is ultimately a combustible siding material. Final comparison is gonna be James Hardie fiber cement siding. This is James Hardie 8 1/4 Hardie plank. It is 90% Portland cement with some sand, adhesives, and a little bit of wood pulp in order to hold it together. This is considered a non-combustible material. Generally, we talk about fire-resistant siding. The technical and responsible term really to use is that it's non-combustible, meaning it's not gonna ignite and contribute fuel to the fire. Given the testing, based on what I know from this product, I do expect it to hold up and do really well in our fire test, but we're gonna see. All right, here's how we're conducting our fire-resistant siding test. We're gonna install a piece of siding on our little mock-up wall here. Our mock-up wall is built with a 2x4 framed wall, 1/2" OSB, which is the wall sheathing, and then our breathable house wrapper underlayment. So we're gonna fasten our siding on, and we're gonna hold a flame from the plumbing torch onto the siding for exactly 60 seconds, and we're comparing James Hardie fiber cement siding versus LP Smartside engineered wood siding versus generic vinyl siding. We're gonna see which one does best. Remember, we are professionals. Do not try this at home. We have our certified safety professional here to make sure we don't burn down the building. Okay, 60 seconds to an open flame, James Hardie fiber cement siding. We have official timer here, 60 seconds on the clock, and go. Time. So pretty interesting. We did a 60-second open flame test right on the James Hardie siding. I tried to hold the fire kind of right where the joint is between the two pieces of siding where the overlap is. So there's an 1.25" overlap, I believe. And I held it in the exact same spot with a pretty intense flame. You can see it's cracked and it was even glowing like orange, almost like hot metal or really, really hot sand. And it did not ignite, but it did crack and it discolored. But I'm really surprised. Next up for the fire test, LP Smartside. This is an engineered wood siding. Comes at a little lower cost than James Hardie siding, but let's see how it holds up to our flame test. 60 seconds on the clock. We're gonna go 60 seconds to open flame, LP Smartside, and go. Time. And it's still on fire. Safety! Safety! There you go. Good. Well, it started smoking behind the siding, and even within about 10 or 15 seconds, it was totally charred black, and this lap edge right here, the leading edge of this higher course of siding, I could see was just engulfed in flame if I kept the flame on it. And then after I took the flame away, it was still burning. Obviously, it's a combustible material, Definitely didn't do as well as the James Hardie siding. Up next is vinyl siding. I don't think it's gonna do too well, but we're gonna do a test with an open flame for 60 seconds on the vinyl. We'll see how it does. Ready, 60 seconds on the clock, and go.
Cut!
One more.
Yeah!
Results of vinyl, ooh. That's hot. Results of the vinyl siding versus the open flame did not do well at all. It just started melting. Honestly, one of the worst parts was the horrendous smoke that it put off. I got a little whiff of that and it was pretty much terrible. I can already see the OSB is blackened. It's melted a bunch of our underlayment and it's basically falling apart here. So we're gonna pull these off the wall and take a look at the backside of each of them. There you have it. All right, let's take a look at how the wall sheathing and underlayment fared. I think it's pretty obvious given that it melted a hole behind the entire thing, but that's the backside. And you can see that it's totally charred that OSB and totally melted the underlayment. Not good. And then behind this is just gonna be a 2x4 wall. So obviously that's gonna catch on fire pretty quick. If I'm nervous about fire, I'm not gonna be putting vinyl siding on my house. Here comes the LP siding. I'm curious to see how it did. Well, looks like the backside is blackened and it's charred. Now that's totally burnt. And I'm really curious about this piece to see how the underlayment fared. Underlayment's in pretty good shape, right where we were doing it. We're not seeing any blackening right there. When we took the flame away, it still burned and was obviously combusting, but I am surprised to see that the underlayment isn't melted or warped or anything in that area, so it doesn't look like the heat came through it too much. With that said, you know, within, I don't know, what was it, 15 seconds, looks like there was an open flame, and that's not what we got on the Hardie, so let's take a look at the Hardie and see how the underlayment did behind it. All right, super curious about this. You can see the backside's blackened a little bit, but it doesn't dissolve with burnt wood when I run the tool over it. It still feels like, you know, concrete. We've got some pieces chipping off, etc., but they never actually caught on fire. There was never really a flame coming out from it, which is probably what they mean by it doesn't contribute to the fuels of the fire. Pull off this next piece. This is where I was holding that flame kind of directly on that same area for a full 60 seconds. So the question is, did the heat come through? Doesn't look like it. I'm not seeing any melting at all. And then of course the back where we were holding the flame was right here. And if we flip that around, we're not seeing any sort of discoloration or anything. It looked like when we first installed it. So my biggest takeaway is, as far as the siding material igniting, it's clear that fiber cement siding is more resistant. So it's a fun test to do. We assume that this is what we're gonna find, but it's fun to test it in real life for ourselves and homeowners who are considering siding replacement in Colorado, especially in these wildfire areas. In 2026, the state of Colorado adopted the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, which recognizes ember intrusion and open flame intrusion through combustible siding as being a meaningful ignition pathway. So what that means is that can contribute to a wildfire igniting your home. So insurance carriers in that zone, in the WUI zone, are increasingly aware of this particular distinction. So if you have vinyl or wood-based siding and you're in that fire zone, this is definitely worth knowing before you consider your next siding replacement. I'm Patrick with Westboro Home Exteriors in Longmont, Colorado. For a full siding comparison guide for 2026 pricing between James Hardie versus LP Smartside versus vinyl siding, check out the link in our description below. For more helpful information on costs and comparisons for roofing, siding, and window replacement projects, subscribe to our YouTube for more videos.